All right. Welcome everyone to a new episode. And on today's episode, I interview a dancer, an MC, a DJ, an actor, an educator. Welcome to the winner circle, GeNie Bafoe.
Thanks so much for having me, Derek. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah, over the last few months, I've really gotten the opportunity to spend a lot of time with you, learn some dancing from you, connect with your family, Tracy, Zen, and I'm just really honored to have you on my show here and just to get to know a bit more about you and your hero's journey and just to share your incredible energy and vibe with everyone tuning in.
Looking forward to it. Let's go.
So these conversations are meant to really uplift, inspire, and empower everyone listening along. And this first question sets us off on a really positive note. And that is right here, right now, GeNie Bafoe, what do you love about your world?
Man, I love that question so much. What do I love about my world? I love that right now I'm really enjoying a rebuilding and reconfiguring phase. I have been a dance educator since 2008, and teaching dance was my full-time passion and career since 2012, right? And was doing that for so many years, and it was great and it was lucrative and it was awesome. And then, as we'll get into later, I just kind of, obviously, first of all, COVID hit, and then it was like a reset for everybody. And now, as I'm coming back from my long RV trip with my family, rebuilding and reconfiguring now, not only as a dance educator, but as a DJ as well, as a father as well, right? As just a completely different human being from what was going on, in those prior years, right? So I love the newness of my life right now. I love the challenge of having to rebuild my name in a completely different field like DJing, the way I built my name in as a dance educator and as a dancer in those years that I didn't know what I was doing then, right? And now it's like I kind of don't know what I'm doing now, but I have these skills and I can do these things and I can rock a party, but still kind of rebuilding and reformulating and refining my voice. So I'm really enjoying the new challenge that my life presents, and that's what's so exciting about it. It's like I got like those butterflies again. I'm like, ooh, where's this going? But I'm having a good time with it. So yeah.
Hmm. It's really fun, and I'm excited to just witness the evolving of this rebuilding and reconfiguration phase. Um, One question I ask all the guests is in pertinence to their mission. So that's my next question to you, Jeannie, is what is your mission as all in all the roles you play, whether that be a dancer, an MC, a DJ, an actor, an educator, a father, a partner, a friend. What is your overarching mission that guides you in everything that you do?
I mean, I could go on forever, but in its simplest terms, for me, it's about creating experiences, and creating experiences in ways that people either didn't think they would have, didn't know they would have, didn't know they were going to have, but leave feeling really refreshed and inspired and excited for what something can become. And when you're around me, music is playing in one way, shape, or form or another, right? And dancing is happening. So when people simply walk by and are drawn into what we're doing as a community, or drawn into what I'm doing as an artist, that's my mission. I remember there was I was throwing a dance battle back in 2014. It was my Dance for MS event, and when it was over, I was packing up. There was this elderly couple that came up. They said they were in their 80s and they just saw this on the news and came to check out what it was about. And they said as soon as they walked in, they thought they were on the set of a movie. And I was like, this is just like a regular dance battle event, or whatever, right? But they just thought that this was like, oh my God, are we supposed to be wearing this? But they had so much fun, right? And they said they had an experience that they never thought they were going to have. And from that moment on, I was like, that's my mission. It's having people step into spaces and have an experience unlike anything they thought they were going to have or that they would have anywhere else, right? So that's what I'm always constantly striving for with different types of events, different types of class formats, and different types of scenarios where it's like I'm always thinking about who's coming and what the experience they're going to have, and I hoping that it's going to be a positive and empowering experience at every single turn.
And yes, you are very successful at that. I've had the opportunity to be a part of so many of your events thrown so far. And yeah, you're hitting it right on the nail there, right on the head. Um, so this show is called Welcome to the Winner Circle. To me, winning means embracing the process over the destination. We live in a very destination oriented society culture where when I get this job or when I get this relationship or when I get this material item, this degree, this et cetera, I'll be happy. And then we get there and it's like, oh, and maybe it's happy for a moment. It's like, now what?
Yeah.
To me, winning is embracing the process, stepping outside the conventional and listening to your heart. To me, that's winning. What does winning mean to you, Jeannie? And what does that look like for you in your life today?
Yeah. It's a great question. I mean, I can unpack that in so many different ways. The first thing that comes to mind right now, just even that word winning, right? It's been such an interesting dynamic in my life because as a street dancer, competition is a real thing, and even as a dance instructor or a teacher that's trying to build a following or build a name, like there are people that have been doing, no matter when you come into the game, there's people that have been there years before you that are automatically your competition, right? As you start to build a name for yourself, there's automatically people that you'll be compared to or like, and it goes on, right? And then as a director of a dance team, as director of Boss Dance Team for so many years, we did so many competitions. And it came to a point where like winning the competition nearly never happened, right? Like we were never in first, second, or third place as a team, right? So
Uh-huh.
automatically what it did for my brain was like, okay, then what does winning mean to me, right? Because if I'm constantly striving to win, as in like if winning only means first place, then if I don't get that thing, then does that mean I guess technically it does mean I lost, but does that mean I lost like me as an artist, me as an educator, me as a mover, have I lost? I never thought the answer to that was yes, because I still built something amazing to be put on stage, right? So it got to a point where winning to me just became, what can I do that is different? What can I do? Back to my last answer, which is something that people did not expect to see, right? So, you have these hip hop competitions, and I'm talking about choreography right now, where it's like everybody's going super hard, and I come out and I do like a Disney inspired theme set, right? You know what I mean? Like, and people are like really wowed by that because they didn't see it coming, and now it's like all their childhood characters are on stage, right? So that became winning to me. It's like, what can we do that is not being done, and can we bring that to life? and that
Mm-hmm.
and that concept kind of leaks into all aspects of my life now as a DJ. It's like, what are the songs that can be put together in ways that people are not expecting to give them a brand new experience to this particular song, played in this way, mixed in this way, right? And with my family, like I'm always thinking like, is there something that I can bring them to or do that will give them an experience that is positive and fun for the day. You know what I mean? Like I'm always about that. Even for myself, right? Like when my partner Tracy, your last guest here on the podcast, says, let's get in this RV and go to Texas. My brain works the same way. That sounds like an experience that I didn't see coming. Sure, let's do that because I'm consistent with the motto. So long story short, what winning means to me right now in my life is, man, did I do something that impressed myself? you know, like I'm competing with myself on like, okay, you did this thing, can you top it in a way that is awesome for you and everybody else? You're looking at the landscape of the community. What is not being done? What haven't you tried yet? And as long as I'm trying it, for me, I've won. And as long as people came to it and are seeing what I've tried to do here, then it's a win. My event on Canada Day was a try. It's like, let's just see. And that was a win for me. Whether the logistics of it went the way I was planning, whatever, no, people came, had a good time, so that's a win. So a win for me right now is, have I challenged myself to be put in a position where I haven't done this before and I'm trying to do it somewhat different? That for me is a win.
Mm-hmm. 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 And it's always learning. There's learning opportunities in all this process.
Yeah.
That, that's a beautiful thing. So let's take a moment to celebrate some of your wins, in quotations, some of your accomplishments that you are most proud of.
Let's start off first off, my family. I'm pretty I'm pretty proud of my about to be 3-year-old daughter. My daughter Zen. She's everything. She's me and Tracy plus the world all in a tiny compartment of a human, right? Like ball of energy, just knows exactly what she wants and goes for it, whether you're with her or not. And most likely you have to be with her because she's gone. So I'm really proud of my family. And in my career, one of the things I'm most proud about was a show that I did back in 2017 called The Artist Within, where I was able to bring almost 60 different artists together to tell this story of what it means to be an artist and the actual things behind the scenes that we go through before we ever hit the stage or before the lights of the event ever turn on. Like that was something that was really, really cool. And then after that, it's just continuing to challenge myself in new environments and be successful at it. Right, I've now been DJing for going on 2.5, 3-ish years, and just to have gigs on my schedule, it's like really awesome to me, right? Like, and using the connections from other different parts of my life, right? So using the connections of me as a dance educator to create opportunities to DJ as opposed to teach the dance or do both, right? Like that to me is just something really, really cool. But I mean, there's countless moments to think of. I've been proud of the choreography or the pieces of choreography that I've put on, halftime shows for the Bombers. I've been proud of performing at, the Canada Life Center or Bell MTS Center back in the day for We Day, performing for 30,000. I've been proud of being flown out to Ottawa to teach dance for the entire crowd of all of Ottawa for Canada's 150th anniversary. There's so many moments in my career that I've been like, oh, like this is really, really happening. But right now, if I'm looking back on it and I'm taking a present snapshot, I'm just really proud to still be doing this. Going on 15 years now, still be able to do this, still be in the game, still have a name for myself, and still just be able to show up in the studio 15 years in and be like it's yesterday and still excited like it's my first time. I'm really, really proud of just being able to still do what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, those are all so incredible things to be proud of. Let's rewind things back and let's trace the origin stories to your hero's journey, where this all got started. Maybe it's dance, or we can go back as far as you want. Maybe it's as an entertainer, but yeah, when did this fire get lit within you to entertain, to create just such cool opportunities for people to celebrate
Yeah.
together and come together?
It's a 3 or 4 step journey towards where I am now and who you're seeing on screen right now. I think the first step is young. I mean, it's always young, right? As a young boy, 6, 7, 8 years old, and I remember my mom brought home my first VCR tape, like my first Disney movie, and it was The Lion King. And then the week after, I was like, "Can I have another one?" And she brought home Aladdin. So those were the 2 movies that like completely took over my life as a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid. And the thing that I was looking at and really interested in in those movies was, yeah, the story was cool, but it was the performances of the characters that I was like oddly really addicted to analyzing, right? Like in Lion King, I would rewind all of the scenes from Rafiki and just watch those over and over again and just watching his physical motions and like how he would sing songs and how he would talk and the way he would move. And then with Aladdin, no pun intended, but like watching the genie was just like I like that scene of Friend Like Me when he sings into Aladdin when he gets in the cave. I like, with the VCR tapes, how you would get the lines because you would play them too much. Those
Yeah,
lines were only on that tape over that song. It got to a point where when Friend Like Me came on, it was like you could barely hear it anymore after a year of me playing this film. Like I was watching it 4 or 5 times a day. I was like, yo, like
ha,
it's so mesmerizing of like someone that could, and again, Robin Williams is someone that could just perform this way and still get a point across, still get the messages across, but be so dynamic in the way they were moving towards what they were saying. I was like, this is amazing. And every scene the genie was in, I was like, oh my God, like, what is it going to take to be like, how do I be this guy? Like, so that was that. But I never turned that into any physical motion. I never started dancing or I never got off the couch watching these. I just watched them, right? And then when I turned 12 or 13, I tell the story all the time when people ask me my origin story, is it's my big sister. It's my big sister, Harriet, aka Zara. Anyways, her real name is Zara. She lives in Toronto. That's my big sister, my OG. She was a dancer, and she took classes at a studio called Dance at Two in Montreal, where me and my family are, where I'm from, where I'm born and raised. And one day, my mom drags me out to her recital, and I'm like, was not at all interested in going, but guess I have to, so whatever. So we go, and the whole show's going on. I can't tell you how disinterested I am in the whole thing, right? Like I'm looking down, and I'm like deep in Pokemon Red right now. Like I can't be bothered, right? Like I'm like, oh, Charmander, let's go. And then my mom like nudges me. She's like, pay attention. I'm like, for what? Like, I've seen all these things already, okay? And then I finally like I look at the stage really quick, and my sister's up there doing a solo. And if y'all know anything about dance studios, for a kid to have a solo in a dance studio recital is like unheard of. You got to be like so dope or so good to do that. But there she is, and I'm like what? I'm like, what? And I'm watching her, and it was in relation to what I loved about those movies, that performance, that character, that aesthetic. I was like, my sister does this? Like, she's never spoken about this. She's never told. Like, I've known that she goes to class, but I didn't know, like, well, I didn't know you did this. Right? Like, all of a sudden, like, I can vividly remember just like putting the Game Boy down, and like, I just couldn't take my eyes off it. Right? Like, it was just incredible. And like watching her just be up there and be vibrant and just expressive, like, wow. So at the end, we went home, and it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, no. Like, I'm not going to sleep. Like, you're like, teach me everything you know right now, right? And she's like, what? Like, leave me alone, right? Like, so she ended up giving me a few steps begrudgingly, right? Like, put me out of my misery because I just like wouldn't leave it alone. So like, she taught me like a few grooves, a little moonwalk thing here and there, and I was hooked. That was it. And then it became a question of just like recording everything I could find. Like, I recorded over my VCR tapes, over my my Disney films, to record like all of Michael Jackson stuff, all the Britney Spears, Usher, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, anything that had dance choreography on it, I would record it and just play it back. Back in the day, back in our time, you hit pause and play to slow down the movement so I could learn the choreography. Even commercials, like random commercials of like the Gap, I would learn all of the dances. To this day, like the Britney Spears NSYNC collaboration performance for like the 2000s MTV Music Video Awards, I think I still know every step to that performance, right? Like to this day, And then I just got hooked, right? And watching Michael Jackson, the way he was moving, I was like, this speaks to me, right? And I hadn't really gotten interested in anything yet, right? There wasn't anything that really stuck. This Game Boy thing was just passing the time, but nothing had really stuck with me until I found that. It was like a physical way of attaching what I was interested in at first, which was the physical movement from those Disney films, from like the GeNie and Rafiki and Simba and all this stuff, right? I was like, this is the way to speak like they were speaking. And it just became such an easy fit. So I thank my sister to this day for giving me the time and giving me her patience to teach me a few steps, because that's how everything took off for me, right? And then, so I was about 13, and then 3 years later or 2 years later, my dad drops a bombshell on me. He's like, we're moving to Winnipeg. Like, born and raised in Montreal, like 15 years in. We're moving where? Right? Like, and he's like, my first question to him in 2005 was like, and where is this Winnipeg you speak of? Right? Like, he's like, it's in Manitoba. And I'm like, you have not answered any of my questions yet. Right? Like, I don't know what that is either. And
Yeah.
he pulls out the map of Canada. He's like, this thing? And I'm like, oh, I thought that was like Western or Ontario. Like, I thought that was West Toronto. Like, I didn't know that was, like, I just had no clue. Like, Quebec educational system didn't talk about anything past Toronto, right? Like, I was like, okay. And I got together with a few friends in Montreal. We were starting to dance in the parks and freestyle and stuff. But now I'm moving to a completely different scenario where I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to dance again,
Uh-huh.
And I'm on the plane, I'm on the plane to Winnipeg, and the pilot goes, if you'll look outside, we're just about to land over Winnipeg. And I'm like, okay, let's see what this place is about. So I open the window, And I just look down and I just see like squares and squares of farmland. And I'm like, where am I? What is this? Right? Like, I think I was just on the wrong side of the plane. I'm sure downtown was on the other side, but I was like, yo, that's it. We put on these gloves and milk these cows. Like, let's go. It's a wrap, right? But no, it turns out Winnipeg was still a metropolis of some degree. So yeah, and that was that. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I got to high school at Glenlawn Collegiate in St. Vital. And then I got together with made some friends. I made friends in high school through doing magic tricks, actually. Like I was doing magic tricks at lunchtime, and that's how I made friends. And then later on, a couple people came and said, hey, do you want to dance with us for, grade wars for the school talent show and yada yada. And that's how that took off from there. So my first interest in performing was with the Disney films. And then it became, well, my sister really does this, and she taught me a few things. Then I just became a complete dance recording junkie, right? And then from there, I moved to Winnipeg and was lucky enough to get together with people that kind of allowed me to form my first crew, so to speak. There we go.
It's beautiful. And then how did this story continue? I'm like at the edge of my seat, wanting to learn more.
In high school, yeah, we did this thing called grade wars, right? And that's where like this other part of my journey starts, where it's like in grade 10 we did this thing, so each grade could enter 2 numbers for the last event of Spirit Week or Grade Wars, right? And so I ended up choreographing the grade 10 dance for all of us, and we won. Like we beat the grade 12s and everything. Like we won that event, which was like a huge deal. And then in grade 11 I joined every single club, after school club you could think of, right? Like obviously from sports, from basketball to the debate team, to chess club, the tropical fish club, to the trumpet and horns club, like any club. I just wanted to be a part of everything. So I knew everybody, like in every single, what you call like demographic of high school kids, like these are the goth kids. Like I was friends with everybody, right? Like because I went to all the clubs. And so I knew all the teachers, and pretty much I can confidently say that like the entire school knew me to some degree and knew how expressive I was and all this other stuff. And then the principal came up to me and said, would you want to do the morning announcements for a school? I was like, where do I sign? Right? Like, so in grade 11, it took off that I started doing the morning announcements for the school, and all the different clubs were just giving me their notes so I could project whatever they were doing. Like, yo, volleyball is happening tonight. The varsity girls volleyball team is off the Dakota Collegiate. Be there. And like, it just became a phenomenon in the school. And then I got the gig to basically host Grade Wars or Spirit Week for grade 11 and 12. So now I'm just like the vocal piece of this school, right? Like MCing comes from. It was like I literally got to do this throughout all like 2 out of my last 2 years of high school, of just like every event that was happening in the school, I was being asked to host it, right? Like I think I even hosted one of the staff meetings, like one of the professional development meetings for like just introducing the speakers. Like they brought me in for that. Like it was just everywhere, right? So I got a lot of reps doing that. But with the dance stuff in grade 12, when we did our final number that I got to choreograph as well, one of the dancers on the other grade 12 team was danced at a studio called the Roller Dance Conservatory. And she had invited her dance director to come and watch. So when the dance director came, basically there was a dance director of a studio in the audience while we and I were performing. And I guess she really enjoyed what we did. So she comes up to me and my team and she's like, who choreographed that number? And they were all like, this guy. I was like, hi. And then she's like, well, I own a dance studio. Do you have teaching experience? Like, I'm still in high school. Like, I'm 17, right? Like, and she's like, do you have teaching experience? I own a studio and I'm looking for a new hip hop teacher. And she asked me point blank, do you have professional teaching experience? And it was crazy, Derek. Like, in my mind, it was moving a million miles per hour. I was like, this sounds like an opportunity. So I was like, no, I don't have professional teaching experience. But I was like, yeah, I've been teaching for years. What do you need? Right? Like, I just kind of figured I made it, right? So she was like, well, come through this summer, do the summer workshops. We'll see how it goes. I was like, boom. And in the summer of 2008, I got my first workshop teaching opportunity outside of high school at the Roller Dance Conservatory at 628 St. Anne's Road, right? Like, and I did a couple workshops there, and then I got a teaching position a full teaching position in the year in 2008, going into 2009. And then by 2010, she gave me my own set of classes as well as a competitive team. And then boom, I was on. I taught there for 2 or 3 years. And then I got a job at the World Winnipeg Ballet, Masterworks Dance Studio, Studio 393, Institute of Dance, Winnipeg Dance Force. Like it just all took off from there in my first, my basically my first or second years out of high school. Like it just boom.
Wow,
So,
that's incredible. That's incredible. I want to come back to this story, but I just want to kind of segue, um, just take a little detour for a moment.
yeah, for sure.
I know you work with a lot of high school students, and maybe some of these high school students are listening and are super inspired by like this story that you just told about like coming into Winnipeg, 15, coming to this new high school, joining all these clubs, doing the radio announcements, becoming an MC, choreographing dances, and just taking off. And this is where their journey begun, and this is where your first professional opportunity came. What would be your advice for any high school students listening in, on like, yeah, they're new to high school and they don't know where to start? Like, what are your advice to these high school students? I know you teach many.
Yeah. I mean, it's the answer is simple, as scary as it is, but it all really comes down to putting yourself out there. It's one of those things that I like to tell my students is like you need to understand how unique you are. And that ability of or that default setting of all of us being unique makes it so that no matter what it is, you have something to offer the world, right? So putting yourself out there in different situations that you're interested in or not interested in is an opportunity for you to share your unique voice, your unique presence, your unique vibration and energy with the people around you. And that is so powerful to me. And that's what I really hope that, this next generation kind of keeps in mind is like, you are one of a trillion, like there is no one like you. There's no one like Derek. There's no one like me. There's no one like my partner. There's no one like any of my colleagues. And that's what makes you that powerful, right? It's not a situation of like, oh, well, what could I do if I'm there? What do you mean? You being there is the power, right? You being there is what changes the whole dynamic of that room. You just simply being in the room and saying, well, I think changes everything. Well, what if
Mm-hmm.
we changes everything? Or simply, you don't have to talk. I've been in situations where I haven't said a word, but just being there affects how things go, right? So recognizing the power of your presence and recognizing the power of how unique you are is the biggest piece of advice I would say. And then you take that ability and you put it in what you're interested in. Like if you're interested in the arts, what about the arts are you actually into? And you just dive headfirst into that, like off the diving board, eyes closed, like just go, you know what I mean? And see where it takes you. You can always pull the parachute if you're like, yeah, this isn't for me. You know what I mean? Like it's life is kind of long like that, right? Like we always say life is short, but life is actually long if you're not putting yourself in situations that you want to be in, right? So that's the biggest piece of advice I would say, especially in high school where like the options are quite literally unlimited with zero pressure attached to it. Like tax season is not coming for you. So you have plenty of time to figure this out. You know what I mean? Like this whole thing about what you want to be when you grow up, like, no, like what do you want to do right now? Like, where do you want to go right now? Who do you want to hang out with right now? Right? Like these are the things that we can kind of just slow down and ask ourselves and just really, really take in how unique you are and how your presence affects certain scenarios. So putting yourself out there is the biggest thing I would say.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is advice that extends so far beyond high school. This is advice that we could all take. One thing that holds people back from doing so, high school or otherwise, is fear. What do you advise about that? Fear preventing people from putting their stuff out there, from putting them a self out there.
Yeah. I'm gonna be straight up. That's not something that necessarily goes away. For myself, like I said, I've been doing this, coming up on 20 years pretty soon. And like, there's still times where I'll have a video of a class that I taught and I'm like hesitant to put it online. Like I'll make a video, like a tutorial, and I'm like, should I? Right? Like there's plenty of moments like that. I still have moments like that where I'm like, oh man, Like I'll enter an event, a competition, or like a solo dance battle event. And to this day, I've done hundreds of these. To this day, I'll be sitting there at the event. I signed up. And the moment the person calls my name, I'm like, this is a terrible idea. Right? Like, I still do that to this day. And that's okay. Like I'm not trying to find a way to get that to go away. Like the nerves is what powers me, right? It's what makes me focus. You know what I'm saying? So fear is not, I don't see it as a bad thing. I just want to refocus it and use it as strength, right? It's like, okay, this is giving me tingles. This is giving me like butterflies in my stomach. Okay. Like that means I really want this. You know what I mean? Like you're not afraid of things you don't really care about, right? Like you're not afraid of things that deep down, at least I believe that you don't deep down really want, right? Like, or have some interest in, you know what I mean? Like I don't watch horror movies, not because I'm afraid of them, because I don't need that energy in my life, right? Like, am I afraid to bungee jump? Yeah, but that's probably why I'll do it at some point because that means that there's some curiosity there, right? Like the things that I'm not afraid of, I don't think about, right? So if there's scenarios that you're like, yeah, I really want to do that, but I'm like afraid of it, or I'm afraid of this happening, or if it's gonna go well, and it's like that's even the more reason to put yourself in that situation so you can find out because you won't find out if fear overtakes the situation and that's your reasoning for not pursuing something or not moving forward, if that makes any sense, right? So what I'm trying to get at is like as opposed to using fear as a block, I use it as what catapults me into that thing. Ooh, what is that? What is that? You know what I mean? Right? Like that to me is really the situation. So I would say use it as less of what's going to hold you back and more think of it as that's your curiosity telling you, okay, maybe I just need to look into this thing more. Go in there, see what happens, and whatever happens, happens. Life is long. You do something else, you move on. It's just like it's in hip hop, we the term we say is like, yo, it's not that serious, right? Like whatever it is probably not that serious. So just let's get out there and have a good time.
Let's put ourselves in a hypothetical scenario here. We're at the crossroads. We're at the crossroad of should and must. Our hero is there, standing at this crossroad, and they're stuck. They hear all the shoulds from society, their parents, their teachers. Um, they should stay at this 9 to 5 job. They should play it safe. They should wear the crossroads of must is the calling they feel in the heart. That thing that wants them to pursue like an education in dance or to go to that yoga training or to go hop on the RV and travel to America. The deep pull from within the heart. And they're stuck. What advice would you give this hero that is torn between the shoulds that they've been conditioned to their whole life and the must, that deeper knowing that they feel in their soul?
Yeah, a powerful question. And I relate to this question on a really deep level because that's been like almost the title of my life, right? Like, you know, to tell you more about myself, like I come from an academic background. What I mean by that is my mom has her master's degree in social work and my dad has his doctorate degree in social work. My dad has been very, very passionate about me getting a degree and going to university and people have done that. People are doing that right now, and I give them all the props in the world doing that. I went to the U of M for 3 years and essentially got nothing accomplished there because my heart wasn't in it and I had no idea what was going on there, right? Like every single day. And at the same time that I was at the U of M from 2010 to 2013 or so, like dance was happening at the same time. And I got to that crossroads where I was like, I keep doing this university thing that I'm being asked to do, and that I've been conditioned to know that it's the only ticket to success in the West. You know, as someone of African descent, you know, my parents are born and raised in Ghana. They came to this country to seek education and be successful, and education is just such a heavy thing in our community and most immigrant communities. It's like you do that, you get your degree, that's how you get the job, get the house, 2.5 kids, we're off, right? Like, and I have this innate feeling in the back of my head, like, but this dance stuff is kind of cool. Like, how on earth do I explain that to an academic? You know, like how do I explain to somebody that like, yeah, I'm not ever going to pursue a degree. Instead, I'm going to pursue the moonwalk. Like, what are we talking about here, right? And then it got to a point where, you know, I had to decide. I had to decide if I was going to sign up for another year or I was just going to jump off the diving board and pursue dance full time. And when you're talking about fear of the unknown, like that's what that moment was. And I remember what I said to myself. I was like, listen, I don't know what 20 years from now looks like, but I pictured myself 20 years from now in what I believe pursuing and finishing my education will bring to me, and what pursuing my dance abilities will bring to me. And if I close my eyes and I imagine myself 20 years from now where I am, which one of those scenarios makes me smile? Done. That was the
Ah,
which one of those scenarios makes me go, whoa, wow, cool. And the decision was easy after that. I pictured myself 20 years from now with my master's degree in social work or socioeconomics or business, you know, not to be cliche or say be in a cubicle, but some kind of building where, you know, I'm wearing a two-piece suit or I'm driving to this meeting or I'm in a conference call with someone in Japan about, and I'm like, am I moving community that way? And maybe those people are, no offense to those people, but then I close my eyes, and just because of the way my brain works, I'm imagining myself like on stage with lights and energy and people saying "woo," like, you know, it's like, no. Though this stage scenario is scary because I don't know what the formula is to get there. Where there's more of a clear formula on the education side, this side makes me smile, and that was it.
mm-hmm.
I told my dad, I was like, no, I'm not going back. I'm going to Father, I'm going to dance, right? Like, you know, like that was that. That was that. And I never ever looked back. And it became a tug and pull. Like every year, every September, my dad was like, you know, you can just sign up for one or two courses and get it done in 4 or 5 years. And I was like, or I can get on this plane to Nunavut and teach K to 12 for a week. How about that? Right? Like, or I can get on this plane to Edmonton because someone asked me to throw a dance battle event there as a part of the reward show. I never been to Edmonton. How about that? Oh, wait, there's dance in Montreal. I can almost find a way to teach classes there and have someone fly me back home to see my mom, right? Like, there's just so many scenarios that work for the life that I'm trying to build and that I'm interested in, as opposed to like, and if I ever have to write another essay again, like I'm pulling my hair out. That's it. I don't have much hair, but I'm gonna have less if I have to write another essay. I'm telling you right now, man. Like, you know, like
Mm.
versus the feeling I got every time I stepped into the studio, every time I walked onto a film set, every time I just heard music and watched people express themselves. Like every time I pictured that versus being in another lecture, for me, it was just a no-brainer, right? So that was that. The crossroads to me is like, okay, you got your left side, you got your right side. Deep down, you know what's on the other end of that road. You know it. Close your eyes and imagine what it's like to be at the end of that road, be successful in that road. Which one of those successful versions of yourself in those two paths is going to just make the side of your mouth just like raise just slightly. And once like whichever side of your mouth raises, that's the path you take. If the right side goes,
uh,
I mean, like, so that to me, like, that was a decision I made at the age of 19, and like, I'm so grateful for it, you know, because I knew no matter what, I was gonna be successful in whatever path I took, but which one was actually gonna make me smile. So there you
I love that answer. That is so, so, so good. I've asked that to many guests, and yeah, I don't know. That's my favorite one thus far, by far.
go.
And it's a really easy, it's a really easy outcome.
Yeah,
Um, what makes you smile? And yeah, envisioning your greatest success in both those paths, but which one of those two greatest of successes makes you smile
yeah,
or makes you smile more? Okay, so let's get back to the origin story. So, you kind of talked, filled in a bit of gaps with your last few answers. So, you finished from that high school. You started teaching dance, and that just started blossoming into opportunities. But then you got pulled to the education, but then you decided I'm going to go into dance full time. So let's pick the story back up there. Now you're all in. You're all in on dance.
Yeah, I'm all in and just figuring it out as I go along. Like it was all happening so fast. I remember, my 2012, 2013 years. At this point, I blink my eyes and I'm teaching at 5 studios. I'm the director of an independent hip hop dance team. I'm also getting pulled into theater here and there and doing film things and short films and reading scripts for like it was all over the place. Simultaneously, still living at home with my dad, right, in St. Vital, and I would I would leave the house and it would just be like go 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 all the time and just happiness and excitement and smiling, and I would come home and have these conversations about when I'm going back to school, and it was like right. So there was this dynamic in my life that was just kind of like, okay, well, I gotta find a way to explain this to my dad and my family of like, this is why I'm doing this. And as things started to pick up and things started to really become, let's just say, lucrative for me, and things were really going well, I could physically feel that the moments where my dad was starting to kind of like ease off and be like, and it was when I was just being seen on TV a lot, right? Like I'd be in commercials and stuff like that, and I would come home and he would say, "Hey, I got a call from your uncle Bruce, and he said he saw you on CTV. What's that about?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, did a thing this morning," right? Like stuff like that, So yeah, so now like I said, I'm the artistic director of Boss Dance Team, an independent hip hop group, and we're performing all over the city. We're doing a show almost every weekend in 2013, and the team is building up and gathering more and more, in the like street dancers that want to learn from what we do. And like I said, it's about creating experiences that are different or that are not done, right? And there are so many at the time and even to this day, like independent hip hop dance crews in the city. But what I developed with my leaders and my other directors at the time were we were a team that did choreography and we freestyled. So if there were choreography events like competitions, we went to them, and if there were freestyle dance battles, we were there equally. So we were like a choreography team that could almost do everything, and that was really important because for my journey at the beginning, I began as a freestyler in hip hop. I didn't begin learning choreography. I began with my sister teaching me certain steps and creating movements and patterns from there, and then choreography came after with learning the steps from the recorded tapes, right? So now all of a sudden I'm a teacher, a choreographer, and all this stuff is just like happening so quickly. But it was great. It was great, and I took a lot of blows to the chest in regards to like, oops, wasn't supposed to do it that way. Oops, wrong on that way, and a lot of ups and downs and a lot of things that were difficult to digest and moment and learning moments. But man, am I grateful for all of them, because in those moments what I realized was like, oh, like it really didn't matter what path I took. There was still going to be trials and tribulations and roadblocks and certain things that I had to get over. So whether I took the education route or I took the dance route, I'm still going to have to fight for it. You know what I mean? I'm still going to have to put my head down and really go for this thing and prove to myself and my colleagues and my competition and my peers that like I am a thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm a force to be reckoned with, and I'm here because I love it. I'm here because it speaks to me. I'm here because I wanted to speak for others, right? So the years went on. The years went on. I kept shrugging away, and then all of a sudden, boom, 2017 hits, and I get a call from the National Ballet School in Toronto that they want to create a routine called the program is called Sharing Dance, and they have picked 4 choreographers from across Canada, and I've been selected to be one of them. And at that moment, that's when I was like, that was my I made it moment. That was my first like huge win. I felt, like for them to scour the country and be like, GeNie Bafoe is who we want to team up with 3 others to create this dance. That was incredible, and I'm so grateful to my colleagues and partners at the National Ballet School in Toronto for the ballet school in Toronto for seeing this hip hop kid and being like, "Yo, come through." Like that to me was really, really great moment. And the following year, 2018, I was selected again as one of two, which again to me was like, bruh, you know? So
Hmm.
there's been so many different moments like that where it's like those are the wins, where it's like I may not be winning in quote unquote competitions, but my work is speaking volumes for people who've never met me before who want to work with me, you know? And
Hmm.
that has been the journey over and over again. It's like just putting in the work so my name stays in these conversations. Like when I go into my email, I'm constantly having emails of just like, hey, I got your name or your recommendation from so and so. That's the work that I've put in for the last decade that I'm trying to, again, like I said, rebuild with DJing in another format, right? So
Yeah, so let's talk about connections. How are you making all these connections as you journey on your path, then and now?
yeah, that goes back to that. That goes back to just anything that was in the realm or field that I was interested in, I was going to those things. Meaning, okay, so I'm a dance teacher, I'm a dance instructor, educator, choreographer. So any dance event or dance class that I can make it to, I'm going. Right? Like, and it didn't have to be hip hop. The school of contemporary dancers could be putting on a show. I was gonna go, and I was gonna shake hands with whoever I could shake hands with there. You know, like I would approach the choreographers of various teams and introduce myself. I would approach the MC at an event and introduce myself, and then say, "Hey, listen, if you're ever looking for this, let me know. If you're looking for like those were the seeds that I was planting because again, when I decided to jump off the diving board and go into this thing full time in 2012, I didn't have a backup plan in any way, shape, or form. You know, like there was nothing else. There was nothing else that I could say, okay, if this dance thing doesn't work out, that's fine. I'll go into carpentry. You know, like I had no other vision whatsoever. You know what I mean? So I had to make this work, right? And it's not like I recommend like make sure you don't have a plan B so plan A works, right? But that's all I had and that's all I knew because I knew that that's what I was good at. So the way I'm making these connections is like, and I've seen you do it. Everything you go to is just like going up to whoever and saying hi. You know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't have to be a whole full blown conversation, but just like introducing yourself and being like, "Hey, man, I saw what you did out there. Wow, hey, I saw what you did out there. It was amazing. It was great. You know, I'm a really big fan of yours. Thank you for sharing what you did. My name is so and so. This is what I do. I hope to collaborate or work with you at some point in time if I can be of service." Out. I have done that countless times for over a decade, and that's how I made the connections, and that's how, you know, for lack of better words, like I'm never, I'm never gonna go hungry because there's an endless supply of people that I've met over my time that are always gonna need something, or that I can actually help with, or I can point them in the direction of my colleagues or other people that can help them with that, right? So
Yeah.
whether it's dance or art or yoga, whatever it is, like I just go to the thing because I'm gonna meet
Mhm.
someone there or have an experience that I am going to benefit from.
Yes, it's brilliant. That's brilliant. You mentioned being of service. How do you best be of service as a teacher, a mentor, a helper, a coach? What have you learned about service?
Yeah, that it's not all about you, and that's one of the big things as a teacher, as a coach, as a mentor, as a guide that you have to get over right away. You know that you are there as a service to those that are trying to acquire knowledge and information. I am the vessel for the information that I've gained in order for that information to continue to flow to where it's supposed to go, right? I can't hoard the information, nor can I go about it like the only way you can get this information is through me. Should we cross paths, you will be given this information, you will be given this path, right? But I had to get over myself very, very quickly, and I had scenarios where I was humbled that I was humbled in ways that like I got to places where I was starting to make it about me, and I was quickly humbled back into place with that. And that's what taught me, like, man, like this isn't about me. I have been lucky enough to work hard to gain all this information and knowledge and talent. Now it's time to give back. All these events that I do are to give back to the community and to give someone out there a chance to see what I first saw when I came to Winnipeg. One thing that I forgot to even mention earlier was like my little crew in high school we went to the concert hall for a show in 2008 because the Jabberwockies were in town. And you know, being in high school, like you think like the world kind of revolves around you to some degree, which to some degree it does. You don't know anything outside of those walls. So we thought we were going to just see the Jabberwockies, right? And we got there, and turns out like there were dance teams and crews that were opening for the Jabberwockies or performing before them. And it was all local dance crews from Winnipeg that I did not even know existed. And I was blown away by how amazing they were, right? Like those y'all in the dance world, I'm talking about the Sea Cats of the world, the Unite, Dummy Squad, Paradox, like Defined Movements, No Silence, like so many crews back in the day in Winnipeg that were just absolutely amazing. And I was floored by how incredible they were. And that's what really lit up my eyes. The way my eyes got lit up when I first saw my sister, like it got lit up again, but now this time in Winnipeg. And I'm constantly trying to create experiences to give some kid out there the same opportunity, the same service. I want to give that back. What got me here from seeing what was on stage, I want to give that back to some kid out there, you know? So it's about that. It's about giving back. It's about that service because I've been given this gift, man. You know what I mean? Like of leading rooms, of entertaining, of emceeing, of DJing, of dancing. I've been given this gift, like just to sit here and just be like, now time to collect all my chips and Pokemon badges. Like it's not fair, right? Like don't get me wrong, I'll still battle and compete and I'll still win and I'll still let you know that I'm that guy. But at the same time, when it comes to educating and teaching, I want to let you know that you are also that person, right? And you can be so much more than me and my mentors and my educators and those in the history of hip hop. Like you can now be a part of the story too, because every single person that made that story was unique. And guess what? So are you. So with my students, I always tell them, I was like, everything you're learning here, flip it, twist it, remix it, make it your own. And that's what's going to keep this culture moving forward and what keeps everything fresh. And you will be part of the history just as much as the rest of us are part of that history as well. So
Mhm. That's so great. We've talked about so many highlights and so many wins per se in these conversations so far. Let's take a moment to acknowledge some of the challenges, some of the lows, and what were they? What you learned from them, and how you overcame these incidences. So just think about some challenges and some kind of failures on the path, and how you overcame that and bounced back.
yeah, countless, but two come to mind. The first big one was okay. It was 2010, and I was like 2010, 2011. I was flirting with the idea of jumping off the diving board and going into dance full time, and I was still in my first year of university. Um, and I was teaching at the Royal Dance Conservatory. This was my third year, and I think maybe actually my fourth year, but it was my second year choreographing the competitive team there. And it was my first time getting to choreograph a routine that went to a competition. And then my first time choreographing a routine that went to a competition, this routine qualified for Dance World Cup, right? Like, and it was like it scored in the top 5 percentile of all of the routines of the competition itself over the 3 days. And we qualified to go compete at Dance World Cup, the international version of that competition in Montreal in the summer of 2011. So we qualified for this in March and me as an employee of the Royal Dance Conservatory as a teacher there in March. Tell me why in April I don't have a job anymore. Tell me why by April I'm fired. And like so much drama behind it, but like just the director was just like, okay, your services are no longer needed. And it broke me. Like it broke me to the point that I said to myself, okay, I gave it a fair shot. I closed my eyes, it made me smile, we did it, and then that path just shut me down like I never thought was even possible. Right at what I believed at the time was the height of my career. Like I made it, you know? And I was just let go. Pack your bags, like clean out your cubicle, you're out. And I remember it happened a month before my third time doing my event called Dance for MS, which was a charity dance showcase I was doing every year out of high school to raise money for multiple sclerosis. So that event came up the next month, and I said to myself, yeah, man, like this hurts so much that I don't even know if I want to dance anymore. So I had done a routine, or I had said to myself, I want to perform a solo in the show, and that's going to be my goodbye to dance. It's going to be my farewell. And I picked a song from Usher called "Can You Help Me." It was a slow song, and I had the show at the gas station theater in April of 2011, and I brought my dad's like small living room coffee table thing to be a prop as a part of the performance. This performance is on YouTube on my YouTube channel, and I just freestyled for like 6.5 minutes, and the whole performance, I was talking in my head. I was like, "Thank you, dance, for everything you've given to me. Thank you for all the highs. Thank you for all the people I've met, and it's time I let you go. So can you help me say goodbye?" The performance went great, and then when I was done, I was like, "All right, cool." I was still hosting the show, so I was done my performance and kept hosting the rest of the show. And then that's when another set of directors were in the audience and asked me to teach at their studio, which was Winnipeg Dance Force. Shout out to Peter Huck and Kelly Swan. And it was like the show ended, the lights turned off. I was exiting the theater, saying goodbye to dance. Let's go back to school. And then boom, I was picked up again. 2013, 14, 15. I'm like, okay, we're doing this, we're back. And Boss is doing so well in 2016. Nope, boom. Half of the team leaves. They don't want to be a part of it anymore. They're done with what I do. Half of them just leave. And that almost broke me again. I'm like, I thought 5 years ago when I was fired from this job, like I thought that was okay, that was the hardship. I thought that was the whole smack in the face, like, you're telling me I have to go through this again? Okay, like I don't know how many more of these I can take, like. But what I learned from both of those moments, and the reason why it almost became impossible to quit as much as I wanted to, is but I realized my why was too strong to quit. My reason for doing these things outweighed my reason to leave. And that's what I always say to dancers, like, "Oh, you want to jump into this? You want a career in the arts? What's your why?" I always ask them. And I wait for the answer to if that why seems strong enough for me. Because these trials and tribulations, these lows are coming. Not to manifest, hardships or whatever, but they're coming. Their ups and downs are coming. Like that's the ebbs and flows of life in this human body, in this three-dimensional space. So why are you doing this? And my why, back to what we were talking about, was I want the experience of the physical embodiment of creating a character and performance for people to see and be inspired by. I'm addicted to that. I can't get over it. So no matter how many times people are telling me that they don't want me or don't want to work with me, I still can create. And it was like I'm telling you, Derek, it was annoying because I wanted to quit twice, 2011, 2016. I wanted to quit both times. And every time I closed my eyes and said, we're done, it's like there was like a voice that was like, what about someone you can reach? What about someone out there that still wants to be able to dance and to hear music and to be in a space, in a positive environment? What about them? What about? I was like, oh, that's so annoying. Yeah, what about them? Right? Like, and then that just kept me coming back. It kept me showing up to the studio the very next day and rebuilding until no more rebuilding was necessary, and it was just cruise control and everything was going great. So those were two moments of just like reaching the heights of teaching in the studios just 4 years into my career and being told your services are no longer needed. Ouch. And then my team that I've been a director for like 5 years, and getting it to a place where I thought we were really building towards something, and then half of them just being like, you know what? No, we don't believe in what you're doing at all. We're out. Ouch, that really hurts. But then, it's almost like, okay, half of them went. That's almost cleared the deck for like the right people to come in. And that's another thing that I learned. It's like as much as as much as things leave your life, that means space for someone else to come in. That means space for other experiences to come in. That means, like, as soon as you're hungry, that means you can eat. You can fill yourself with something new, or fill yourself with something that you love and like, and it's going to serve you once that thing that you no longer need is taken care of in the bathroom, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, not to get all graphic or whatever, but that's the idea. It's so now as these lows show up, I close my eyes and I say, okay, what is this here to teach me? What is this clearing the table for? And then all I have to do is open my eyes and just wait for what is going to be replaced, what is going to be put in place of what left. So now I'm not as angry or as nervous or as scared when these lows, these almost expected lows show up, because I'm just like, okay, what's the lesson? I'm ready for it. Let's see. And then we go from
And these lows are inevitable in all our journeys. Let's leave a little time capsule message for future GeNie Bafoe for when you encounter another low. What message would you send to him for the next one?
there. If I was talking to myself the way I talk to myself, I'd be like, and do I need to say anything else? Like, okay, no, but you don't understand. Like, this is happening, and this is not. And what are you gonna do about it? Well, I don't know. Okay, then chill, because the answer is coming. And if you don't have the answer, the universe does, your inner self does, your soul does. So just wait for it. Tracy has to tell me this all the time, right? And I have to remind myself that if I don't have the answer or I don't have the solution, that's almost the perfect place to be, because that means that it's going to flow naturally without my effort. You know what I mean? I'm a huge anime guy. Like, Dragon Ball Z is like where I got 98% of my life lessons from, and I watch so much anime to this day. And I watch these characters go through moments that I'm like, how on earth are you going to get out of this? And they find a way to do it. And me as an audience member, I'm like, I don't know how you're going to do that. And then they do it. I'm like, okay, they took their time. They fought hard. They waited for the answer. And that's like, that's again, more life lessons. It's like, I'll just sit back and wait for it. So if I'm talking to future GeNie who's going through something, I'm just like, take a deep breath, wait, help is on the way, whether you know it or not.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Amazing. You've mentioned a bunch of different mentors and helpers and allies on your path so far. So let's take a moment just to acknowledge a few in particular who've left a real impact on you. Who were they, and what were your major takeaways you learned from them that you've incorporated into your being?
Yeah. Great question, and such a great opportunity to put their names out there. First of all, first and foremost, like I said, my big sister, shout out to Zara, who again is still killing it. It's has damn near taken over the Toronto Afro scene, Afro dance hall soca community in Toronto, just like I said she would, just like I said you would, Harriet, just like I said you would. Anyway, um, so that was one to start it off. Big shout out to my mom, who always was a big supporter and believer in what I was doing, and really just held my hand through it and said, no, if you want to do this, go do it. But in the community in Winnipeg, where I've built my career and built my name, it all came down to people like Romeo Suban, Bob Vrula Jr., Jonathan Serla, and Jennifer Jonason. And to go through them one by one, what I took from them, Jennifer Jonason is the woman who began Boss Dance Team, the independent adult hip hop dance crew that I am the artistic director of to this day. It was her baby, it was her vision, and she brought me on to help. And what I took from her was just, her story was so interesting because she also was like afraid of what it could be and if she should do it, and she did it anyway. And I always wanted to find a way to keep Boss alive to some degree, in some way, shape, or form, because I always felt I owed it to her to not be afraid to keep this team alive no matter what, because I was so grateful for her turning her fear into action and passion, right? So huge shout out to Jennifer Jonason on just showing you what can be accomplished if you just put your head down and say, move out of the way, fear, or get next to me and go with me because I'm going whether you like it or not. Romeo Saban is to this day who I consider my main mentor. And what I took from him, he was the event guy. He was the guy who threw, so many of the dance courses over the summer and throughout the year. His competition event in the zone was a cultural staple in the Winnipeg community from, oh my God, what, 2005, 6, 7 or something, all the way to 2017. Like, he was that guy. And I shadowed him and watched him and studied him for years on how he was creating these events, how he was building these events, how he was bringing people together, because that's what I wanted to do. I was never interested in being the best, necessarily the best dancer or choreographer. That wasn't my mindset. A lot of my colleagues, that's what they wanted to be. For me, I wanted to be Romeo Saban. I wanted to be the guy who could at the snap of his fingers bring 300 people into a room just because he said so. I thought that was just the dopest thing in the world to me. I was like, Romeo is the coolest person in this city to me, And that was for the choreography side. Bob Vrula Jr. was the same thing on the freestyle and battle side. He was the one throwing the battle events. I watched him like a hawk, and I asked him questions every opportunity that I got. How did you do this? What is formats? How do you get people to sign up? How did you get these lights? How did you hire a DJ? What are these speakers? Like, what? Like, I think Romeo and Bob would admit, like, I was probably pretty annoying for those first couple of years. Like, I was at every single one of their events asking them so many questions. And I thank them so much. I'm so in debt to them for answering every single one with patience and care and love and light. They just indulged all of it for me, And that's how I became who I became. It was because of those two dudes. You know what I mean? Like, on the event planning side. And then again, Jonathan Serla as an MC, one of the funniest guys on the mic we have out here, and just like getting to observe and listen to him be so light and natural on a mic. That was who I modeled a lot of my MC abilities after as well, right? So, and then just people that I've gotten to work with, right? Like, I give a lot of respects and appreciation to people like Jill DeManu at Rowan Nats Conservatory, giving me that opportunity. Even though you fired me, I still love and respect you. Paula Vaskovich, who I co-taught with in my first few years, who taught me how to teach a dance class, how to lead a room in any scenario, who taught me how to be ready to teach a class on the drop of a dime. I owe that all to Paula. Kelly Swan and Peter Huck for giving me that opportunity at Winnipeg Dance Force. Nicole Kep and Kelly Bale at Royal Winnipeg Ballet for really teaching me how to be a dance professional, not just how to teach a class, but all the behind the scenes intangibles of preparing a room and preparing to go to dance meetings, and how to do calls, and how to like, they were so instrumental in allowing me to become a dance professional and knowing dance etiquette in a room. That was huge for me. And again, so many countless opportunities, so many people I've gone to work with, but those are the ones. Romeo Saban, Bob Vrula Jr., my sister, my mom, Jennifer Jonason, the list goes on and on and on of people that I'm so grateful for that have created who I am. And at the end of the day, I still always take it back to Rafiki and GeNie for just showing me what is possible as a character. And I owe a lot of that to the character that I am now, just trying to be a little bit out of the ordinary, but still getting my point across. So I hope over the years I have gotten my point across.
And another major ally that has been with you for 9 years now is your partner, Tracy Tomchuk. Let's talk and acknowledge her. What have you learned on the journey from Tracy, and how have you sustained this relationship 9 years? What's the secret there?
Yeah. Yes. Blood, sweat, tears, and travels. She's brilliant. She is absolutely brilliant and fearless, and just, I never know what she's going to come up with next and what she wants to do next, but I know it's going to be exciting. I know she's going to go at it with all of her heart, She was actually a huge part of my career, taking another big jump in the way she supported what I've done, Like, one of my events that I was doing for years that I give her so much credit for was an event called Who's the Illest? And Who's the Illest was an event where I would basically, me and my team would pick 16 of who we consider to be the elite street dancers or battlers in the city, and we would put them together and have them battle and see who the illest is, who the best is out of the 16. in that snapshot moment. And a lot of my events were held in ways where they were held in galleries or open spaces where the seating arrangements weren't great. And Tracy was the first person to say, we need to start doing these battles where families can bring their kids and there's going to be a way to sit down and be comfortable, you know? So now all of my events that were held in like open galleries and random spots were moved to theaters, like the Park Theater and so many different types of places like that, where she allowed me to change my mindset to, no, what's important is not what's on the dance floor. What's important is the experience of the attendees. And she was so instrumental in changing my whole mindset of going from thinking of the event as a dancer myself to thinking of it as a producer. She's what allowed me to change my mindset from dancer to producer to event coordinator. That's Tracy Tomchuk right there. You know what I mean? Like, so that's been really, really cool. And then watching her journey from photographer to dancer to yogi to breathwork facilitator to other, like, to, she's just incredible. She's just incredible. And I just love her so much on giving me the opportunity to be on this journey with her. So, like, to how we've been able to do this for 9 years with the ups and downs that any relationships have obviously gone through. It's really just come down to the fact that our goals are aligned. What we want out of this life, how much or how little we actually want to be working, are very much in a line. Like, we want to be doing the things that we want to be doing. Like, anytime we both get an opportunity, we ask ourselves, like, are we excited about this? Does it make us smile? If it's we say, if it's fuck yes, then we're doing it. If it's then we need to ask more questions. Or if it's not a fuck yes, it's not happening, right? Like, we have been able to create a life for ourselves that are based on very, very simple questions. Like, it's either, is this a fuck yes? And if it's not, are we not doing it because we're afraid? If we're afraid, boom, that's it. We're doing it. Like getting in an RV and leaving our home for almost 6 months to go to Texas to do this thing that we don't know anybody there. Like, it wasn't necessarily a fuck yes, but there was some fear involved in that. There was some unknown, and that's what made us go, guess we're doing it. So that's been really cool. I really enjoyed creating a life with someone who is not going to let fear hold them back, because my career and my life has never been about that. Is constantly going to pursue a new skill, a new thing to add to the arsenal of abilities, to just like like a good ninja, just like new techniques all the time. Bruce Lee, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, building a life with someone like that is really, really exciting, and it keeps things fresh. So I'm a DJ, dancer, educator, MC, actor today. She is yoga, breath work, photographer, so many different things today. And tomorrow we might both wake up and go, what we want to do now? And we're both going to be like, all right, let's go do that. You know what I mean? So that is a recipe for an exciting life, that we're two people that are constantly seeking self-improvement and self-encouragement and encouragement of each other to constantly improve. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So from what you've learned from Tracy, from your daughter Zen, from your family, from your students, through all the people you've met on your path, what have you learned about love? What does love mean to you?
I learned about love. That the purest version of it can't be destroyed. And the reason why I say that is because even in moments where I've felt what I believe to be hatred for somebody, my love for them never stopped. Even in, people in my life who I've been able to say, I was betrayed by you. You betrayed me on that. It's so easy for me to eventually just be cool with them again, because I realize, like, they hurt me, but I still feel love for them, because what I've learned about love is that I am love. That's just what I am. That's just what we are. We represent it. We embody it, whether we like it or not. We are that thing. We are this element. And the only reason that things happen is because we stray away from that default setting of love that we are innately born with. You know, like when my daughter was born, I don't know why I did this, but her hands, I remember her hands were just like that, just in front of her face, just there. She's fresh out the womb, right? And I remember just putting my finger in her hands, just like that. And just out of nowhere, boom, she just closed her hand on my finger, and my heart exploded. I just started crying. But just like what I learned was like, we're born that way. We're born caring. We're born loving. And then all these things happen and we're just convinced ourselves that we're not that. It's like, no, we are. We are. And I truly believe that. So what I've learned about love over my time in my life and my relationships and my career is like, I am love. I fell in love with things, those things I'm doing because I love them. And because I love the things that I'm doing and the thing that I does love, and I believe loves me back, everything that I share and I put into the world is love and people love it. Like, how easy is that? You know what I mean? Like, every time I show up for a thing and I put on an event, people like, wow, I had a great time. I love that. I was like, because I'm love, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's what I've really learned at the end of the day is I can't deny that we are this thing and I am this thing. So by default, if I just close my eyes and put my heart out, everything that I'm going to put out is going to reflect that. And that's a really cool thing for me to remind myself all the time, even when things get really hard. It's like, okay, like, all right, dance today is really hard. That's right, I love it. Never mind. Right? Like, so yeah.
I close every interview with these final three questions, and we've gotten through this point, and they're all pretty big questions. And this first one starts us off on that path. Through it all, through all the highs and lows, that is this hero's journey, that is this life. What has been the greatest life lesson you've learned so far, GeNie, that in this moment here and now you feel called to share with us?
Woo! Boy, Derek, I asked you those questions that we should have been prompted of before. Wow. Okay, greatest life lesson that I want to share. Wow. Oh man, just so many. What is going to download right now? Honestly, how lucky we are to have the opportunity to share who we are. That's the biggest thing I can say right now is going back to what I was saying in the beginning of how unique we all are by default. What an incredible opportunity we've been given to share that and to let people in to see what it is we came here to be. You know, like we're all here to have this human experience. We're all here to our souls have come into these bodies to say something and to give something back. What an incredible opportunity. In whatever field that you're in, mine just happens to be entertainment, right? But in whatever field that you're in, what an incredible opportunity you have and have been given to share you. And all the experiences that you have molded you into being this current version is always the best version of yourself, I feel. Share that. Tomorrow, something's going to happen. Oh, okay, grow from it, learn from it. Now that's the best version of yourself. Share that. Now this is the best version of yourself. Keep sharing that in the ways that you do. And again, it doesn't have to be as flashy as what we're talking about. Like I've been on stage in front of 30,000 people. It doesn't have to be that flashy. It can straight up be back to the cubicle. It could be like you got your one office homie. Share your unique presence with them. Share who you are and what you're about with your company, with your family, with your loved ones, because you are one of a billion. What an incredible opportunity we have to do that. And when I think about it that way, that's why I'm constantly pursuing putting on these experiences, because I believe I'm one of a billion, and I believe I want to take advantage of the opportunity that I have here to share that with as many people as possible. And even those that sometimes don't want to, like my math teacher back in high school, my morning announcements, who did not want to hear my voice every morning. I know it, Mr. Tharosky, I know you did not want to hear my voice, but I came here to share my unique experience with you as well. So, there you
Mm. In 3 words, how would you describe the experience you're having on this earth? You can, they don't, just 3 separate words, and you can elaborate on these words if you wish or not.
random, exciting, and loving. Random because every single year that I've been in this industry since 2008 has been more random than the one previous. Like it's just I don't know what's going to happen next week. And when I'm showing up to an event, I always say to myself, this is going to go well because I know what I'm here to do. As a DJ, I know how this works. I know how to watch for crowd control. I know what's working and I know how to pivot left. It's going to go well, but I don't know how it's going to go. So everything is at random. So I have fun every single time because I don't know what's going to happen, right? It's exciting because, like I said, I'm in this phase right now where I'm rebuilding, I'm reinventing myself. And that's really, really exciting because I'm back. I like to say or think that I'm back to square one the way I was when I started my dance journey. I've now jumped off the diving board into my DJ journey. And I'm excited to start from scratch again and challenge myself again because with dance, like I can do this with my eyes closed now. I could teach a class online in 10 minutes for that. If you need me to fill 2 hours, I can do it right now. It's no problem, right? With DJing and other aspects of my life and career, it's like I still gotta. I'm a student again, and I'm very excited to be a student again. Even in dance, I'm still a student. I'm still learning, hip hop history and elements and moves every single day. With DJing, it's like I'm a rookie. Let me build myself to get to the pro level of my other elements of my career, and loving because there are so many people that are accepting of me, my abilities, my talents, my family, and what I bring to the table. And that is love. To as simple as, hey, can you come? We'd like to book you for this. That to me is or a simple like, hey, you want to come on my incredible podcast as I relaunch it? That's love, and I appreciate people like that. Obviously, like yourself. So I'm just feeling a lot of love in life right now. And of course, my daughter and my partner Tracy, as we're also figuring out our family dynamics and figuring out how to raise this incredible little human. There's a lot of love involved, and at the backbone and center of all of it is love. I'm just really, really appreciative of
Mm-hmm. And the final question, we've played around with the past, we examined the present. Now let's go to the future. Let's fast forward in time, and we're going to fast forward ourselves to be alongside an 85-year-old GeNie Bafoe. Who is that man? Where are you? Who are you surrounded by? What is the legacy that you've left here on this plane? And what is the predominant feeling in your body?
the predominant feeling in my body at 85 years old, with the way that I kick it on the dance floor now, hopefully is not soreness. I'd like to think at 85 I'm still kicking it. I like to think at 85 I'm still entering battles. Like that's my goal. You know what I mean? Like you've seen me at a couple battles. Like I look to still be doing that at 85. What I've left on this earth and this city and this community and just surrounding areas, hopefully I like to think is inspiration and opportunity and the roadmap towards doing it too. I'd like to think that with like I said, my mentors that gave me the roadmap to becoming who I am today, I hopefully left that same roadmap for somebody else, for the next GeNie or the next Tracy or the next Derek to do the exact same thing that we're doing, right? Like, and even better, to surpass where we ever thought was possible and keep things moving. And lastly, what I would say 85-year-old me is doing what I'm doing now all over the world, right? And still doing what I'm doing now. At 85, I can still hold that mic and rock it. At 85, I can still play music and mix it. At 85, like I said, I still plan on doing the moonwalk the way I first started out doing this thing at age 12. So yeah, me and Tracy are the same in this. Like the way we're living our lives now, age is not what's going to change that. It's just going to season it. You don't change the meal, you just season it a little bit and maybe change the ingredients, right? So we don't want to slow down. We don't want to speed up. We just want to maintain and just continue to connect with more and more people in this incredible thing that we do, which is hip hop culture.
Hmm. And if you just take a moment to close your eyes, and I want you to feel into this 85-year-old GeNie, I want you to embody him, his presence in this moment. I want you to visualize all the things that you will have accomplished by that age. Envision the legacy that you've left, the people that you've helped, the community that you've created, the love that you've shared, the joy that you facilitated in the lives of so many. So just sit with that for a moment, GeNie, and then I'm going to bring us back. I'm going to bring us back to this present moment. And that 85-year-old GeNie, he whispers in your ear a message. What does he say?
Smiling. He says, I'm still smiling. He says, what's the math? 30, 50, 50. Okay. I mean, whoa, Zen is 40 something years old, right? Like, like, um, he says, look at the people who are doing this because you inspired them to do this. And he says, keep going. That's what I've always wanted to be able to say to my younger self is keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep going. Stay focused. Stop it. Look, keep going. So yeah, that's a powerful exercise, and every time I envision that, the voice in my head just says, keep going. It's happening. It's happened for you. It's gonna happen for you. You're destined for this. Keep it.
Wow. What a brilliant conversation. I feel super blessed to have had the opportunity to chat with you tonight, and to share this with so many. It's definitely um, accomplished the goal that I set out at the start. That's to inspire and empower everyone listening. And for people wanting to follow you and learn more, they can find you on Instagram at GeNie Boss. You also have a YouTube channel, Dance with GeNie, and they can find that at youtube.com at GeNie Bafoe. Any last closing messages?
Um, Come take class with me. If you go to my Instagram page, GeNie Boss on Instagram, you'll see that I have a couple public classes coming up, which is very exciting because I haven't actually done public classes in a few years since I've been gone in the RV, right? So I'm very excited. This coming Friday, October 6th, we're teaching a drop-in dance, beginner levels all the way to advanced levels. On October 7th, I'll be teaching a beginner, intermediate, advanced class at the Rachel Brown Theater on Saturday, October 7th. And just more and more things are going on in the hip hop community here in Winnipeg that I'm very, very excited to share with y'all. So this has been an incredible experience. I want to thank the Winner's Circle. I want to thank you, Derek, for having not only me but my partner Tracy on these episodes. It's, on the personal note, it's been so cool to get to know you and to hang out with you and just and just vibe, and this connection that we have and friendship that we've developed has been so organically created in a very, very short amount of time, right? I remember telling Tracy, I think we had known you or she had met you, or we known you for like a week, and we were already having talks about what we would do in the world and where we're gonna go. I remember telling Tracy, I was like, "Yo, this guy came in hot, and I'm so excited! Like this guy came in quickly." So yeah, it's just been really, really cool to get to know you, and even obviously do this today. And I'm just looking forward to many more great moments. And thank you for all the support that you've shown me and Tracy. You've been to almost all of our events since we've met, right? And that's super, super cool, and just is a testament to the person that you are and why not only myself, Tracy, but so many of us are just like so willing to come on here and be a part of this and talk with you and hang out with you because of who you are and what you represent in this world. So thank you.
Much gratitude, much love, and we're just getting started, brother. Let's bring our fist into the winner's circle, a choice we can all make. Boom. Thank you so much. And that's a wrap on today's conversation. I will see you Friday at Drop In Dance.
Yeah.